Today, I'm going to talk about curiosity approach settings within a baby room. So many of you have asked about how you implement those loose parts, open-ended resources, recycled materials, and bring the curiosity approach pedagogy, the philosophy, into your setting with younger children. Hi, I'm Stephanie Bennett. I'm one of the co-founders of the Curiosity Approach, and I'm delighted today to bring you a conversation with an accredited setting, Puddle Ducks in York. And this conversation is with Sarah Kelly. She's the owner and the manager. They have 3 sites, and we're going to have a look at her baby room because, oh my goodness, you are just going to fall in love with how they've transformed their setting, used sand inside, used open-ended resources, loose parts, and bringing those authentic resources into their setting that are stage appropriate for children. Let's go and have a look, and I'll see you at the end. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more Curiosity Approach settings. See you in a minute. Today we're having a chat with Sarah from Puddle Ducks in York about her beautiful, wondrous setting, and we're going to be looking at pictures of the baby room. How are you, Sarah?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, so
Really
you've
honoured
been
to be here.
great. You've been with us at the Curiosity for a while now, joined our accreditation.
It was literally just before COVID times. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and now you've got that was Sheriff Hutton.
Yeah, that was our first site. Yeah, and then we've gone on to have our second site accredited, and we've just got that accreditation in the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, and doing the extension modules as well.
Yes.
5Rs, which is all about rhythms and rituals and
Yeah.
routines and a slower pace, a slower pedagogy. So we're going to show some pictures of your baby room today, because when we did the magical mystery tour, one thing we didn't share was nurseries, baby rooms, and I often share your images of baby rooms on our Facebook page. So I'm going to bring up some pictures now. Oh, here's a picture of your baby room. Which setting is this?
This is our site based in Sheriff Hutton near York. So this is our original site that's been operational since 2012.
Yeah, and has it always looked like this?
Gosh, no. And actually, it really takes me to get the old albums out to remind myself just how it used to look. Yeah, it was brightly coloured. There was a lot of plastic resources. It was sensory overload. It was messy. It wasn't loved. And I look at that image now, and I'm really proud to say that that's our baby room.
It's a beautiful picture, and one of the things that first stands out for me is that sofa, and we've often talked about in our academy and on our social media about making it an extension of home and not a watered down version of school, and then having sofas in your settings.
How baby rooms function without one, because whether it's giving bottles or giving cuddles, there's a lot of love on that sofa. You know, it's and just like there is at home. So yeah, the sofa for us is a really important part of that baby room, actually.
Yeah, I think we forget babies, all the children, you know, can spend such a long time in early childhood settings, and parents, if they had the choice and could financially afford it, would much prefer to be at home with their little babies.
Society, isn't it? I think women are at work, and we've got a huge responsibility to provide an environment that emulates home, because like you say, given the choice, you know, wouldn't any of us be at home with our babies? So we strive to make our environments feel like home. And actually 90% of the children that join our nursery do join us into our baby room. We get some that join us a bit older, but mostly they come into that baby room. So that transition does happen from home into that room. And it really supports that transition as well, that the room they're joining, it has all those features, the sofa, the plants, the neutral colours. It does emulate home. So it really helps those babies to transition into nursery.
We often talk, don't we, about how it feels for a child to be in that space and
yeah,
rush through, and that slower pedagogy. In my early career, sitting and being with a child was often frowned upon. And I know in my early career, it was like, unless you were looking busy doing something, there was seen as less importance than that time sitting, being with a child, that connection.
Yeah, and our team know that we value, we as leaders and managers sort of evaluating our provision, we value that one-to-one quiet time, especially with our youngest children in that baby room. And we don't have that expectation that want to see everybody busy and engaged and interacting. That can be too much. So our team know that we value those quiet moments and just time for babies to have that eye contact, share those smiles. It's that early stage of learning to communicate, isn't it? So we really value that.
Education, we place so much emphasis on the academics.
Yes.
We get about the caregiving moments.
Absolutely.
Those caregiving moments, professional love. And Dr. Jules Page talked about professional love, connection. Yeah. If children feel safe.
Exactly, yeah. If you don't get that right in the baby room, then if you don't lay those foundations correctly at this stage, then that makes it follows through the nursery, I think, into toddler room and preschool room and beyond. So we've got to get that right at this stage.
Absolutely. So now having a closer look at this was behind the sofa, what was going on, and just this little, we call it an invitation to learning, a setup for the little ones. How old are the children in this room?
They range from real babes in arms, sort of from 4 months sometimes, up to sort of 22, 24 months. So anywhere between 0 and 2.
Yeah. How many children do you look after in any one time?
We have our baby rooms are big at our settings, so we can have 21 babies in each of our baby rooms. So it's a lot of babies, which that makes it all the more important that we get the provision right to enable engagement. So yeah, big baby rooms, big busy baby rooms with lots going on.
I can see in your baby room lots of authentic resources, real materials. I think sometimes people think that the curiosity approach is that you have to have ceramics in your provision, but it's got to be stage appropriate. We
draw the line with ceramic. We tend to not use the ceramics in our baby room with our under twos. We tend to introduce ceramics and breakables with our 2-year-olds in our toddler room. But that doesn't mean you can't use authentic. Ceramic isn't the only authentic and real material available. So we tend in our baby room to use wooden and stainless steel as much as possible, because it's still real, it's still authentic, but it's risk assessed, and we deem that it's appropriate for our babies.
Larger items, they're developing their fine motor, their gross motor, pivotal joints, and I think we were talking previously about that sensory experience. Plastic all feels the same, smells the same when you've got a range of resources like you've got there. Actually, I think we have a video of your little ones playing in this space. So that video was a member of your team in your baby room setting, we talk about being with the children.
Yeah. And I think very present with them, but not interfering. I think, we've done a lot of work with our team around sort of interacting or interfering. And Becky, is facilitating that lovely invitation and playing alongside, but not interfering. We saw her subtly add some herbs into the play, just sitting them alongside the little girls, and if they wanted to use those in their play, they were there and available. But Becky wasn't taking control, and she's right down at their level, sitting on the floor. Yeah.
Lovely. I'm going to share another photo of a different area in your baby room, and this little walk-in sand area. Tell me about this area.
We get so many comments about this area, and whenever you've shared this on Curiosity Approach, or whenever we do, an awful lot of people sort of, are you mad? The sand is on the floor, and it can come out, and it must be everywhere. And no, it doesn't actually. Sand it does stay quite contained in that corner. You'll notice it's completely open, so there's no lip or front to that area at all, so that our newly crawling babies are able to crawl straight in there. So it's really accessible to all of them. We just put the wooden cladding on that wall only recently, actually, which is really it's enclosed it. It's something so simple, and I actually put that wooden cladding on that wall myself. It was
Wow.
Nothing more complex than a bit of glue and some sanded down old pallet boards, actually. But it just encloses the space, and it really defines it. And when you're in there and the babies are sat on the floor, and our team with them, it just gives a sense of being enclosed and cozy for them. Similarly with the netting that we've got hanging from the ceiling, with some wind chimes and various bits and pieces hanging from it, it just lowers that ceiling down again, sort of always trying to achieve that sense of being enclosed and cozy. So
yeah, it's lovely. We talk about in the academy, we talk about protected spaces, spaces away from the busy traffic of a baby room space, staff walking through, and that's such a wonderful protected space.
Yeah, and there's nothing. It's simple. We've used 6 crates. They're old fruit crates that we've used to actually define the space to create that sort of enclose it. They're screwed to the floor with some really short screws, so they can't move anywhere. They can't fall over. And actually, they then provide the storage space for our authentic resources. So it works really, really well. So there's very little expense gone into that area. It was done really economically, and it's a really popular area. The babies love being in that sand area, and actually on this image it looks like it was probably just due replenishing, but the sand sometimes can be 3 or 4 inches deep, and they have a great time in there. Really high levels of engagement.
Get the shoes and socks off.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually they do that now without prompting. The babies sort of arrive at that opening and sit and pull their own socks off before going in there.
Oh, how amazing. That's lovely. Lovely. So much. I'm going to share another photo that includes crates, and you can see inside all your loose parts. Open-ended resources, or what we call intelligent resources, those larger loose parts. People get a little bit worried when we talk about loose parts and babies. I think there's a misconception that loose parts are all tiny little chokeable hazards.
Yeah, and they absolutely are in our preschool room. Buttons and marbles and glass pebbles, where that's age appropriate. But our risk assessments, tell us that the provision we have in our baby room here is safe, and the opportunities that those open-ended loose part resources provide far outweigh, your plastic toys with a preconceived concept. So we see really high levels of engagement in this construction area, we call it, but anything can happen in this area. And again, the crates, the fruit crates are such a cheap, easy way of creating spaces and storage. And again, they're fastened to the wall, so there's no risk of the children pulling them over and hurting themselves. Just a couple of screws into the skirting board. And again, the wooden cladding, old pallet board, sanded down and simply glued to the wall. Again, just creating that sense of enclosure and coziness.
And they're all just at the right height. And you mentioned securing to the wall. So if you've got a child that's, pulling themselves up or cruising the furniture, that's just great that they can do that there.
And they do use the crates to pull up. So they, not only are they great storage, they are supporting those children who are at that stage of just pulling up to standing. And actually one of their favourite things to do here is to remove the bangles from the mug trees there and post them down behind the crates. Some of those children that are going through sort of schematic development at the moment really love to post. So occasionally we have to unscrew the crates and pull them forwards and retrieve all of the posted objects from behind.
Oh, and you've got lots of plants in there as well.
Yes, yeah, the plants are a huge part of our environment, and for oxygenating the air that the children are playing within. And again, people sort of say, well, do they not pull them off, eat them? No, they don't. We do a lot of talking around we don't eat the plants, and the children, they learn. And when it's part of their environment, and it's been like that from day one, the children, they know they're there, and they learn to nurture them, and they get involved in helping to water them and look after them.
In our academy, we talk about, eco-literacy, biophilia, connection to nature,
Absolutely.
and moving away from the plastic strings of plastic ivy, bringing the beautiful, real stuff. Each one is completely different in itself.
Yeah, just the different colours of green. Sometimes we'll hear, one of the negatives that can be said about the curiosity approach is the lack of colour. Well, I argue with anybody that says that. Look at the colours that are in this area alone, and the different shades of green, and yeah,
Beautiful.
and it's natural colour.
Yeah.
And like I said, the children learn to respect them.
Yeah, it's not that we remove the colour, it's that we respect the environment and respect colour and consciously bring it in through those natural resources.
Absolutely.
And the children bring the colour in themselves to the environment as well.
I was at a party with my own little girl yesterday at a local trampoline park, and I sat in there looking around, and I felt a sense of huge sensory overload. There was flashing lights, there was everything was so brightly coloured, and it just, I sat and thought about the curiosity approach, and it reminded me why we do what we do.
Yeah, brilliant. And there is such research and studies on how over decorated classrooms can impact children's concentration, emotional well-being.
I think that was the most remarkable thing when we first started the curiosity approach at this site, was the difference in the children's ability to focus, and just the reduction in the amount of behavioural incidents that we were dealing with. It definitely has a huge impact on the children's ability to regulate themselves and engage in learning.
I so love it when settings talk about the impact of making those changes, and empowers children, settles children, the difference it makes when you consciously prepare your environment.
Undoubtedly, yeah. We say that all the time. And if you've not got your environment right, it's an uphill battle with everything else, and we really feel, since we've done the curiosity approach, I spent years, I'd stay behind after we closed and move areas of provision, and it just never felt quite right. It just never felt like it was doing for our children what I wanted it to, until we did the curiosity approach, and it was just like a light bulb moment, and it all just fell into place. So
and your settings are absolutely beautiful, and they're flying. You've gained a name in York for your such beautiful provisions, and this is what we need for children.
Absolutely. And it was the impact of the curiosity approach for us. That is when we became sort of known, and our intake of children rocketed, and it was a real turning point for us. And I wouldn't do it any other way. We've got a third setting in the pipeline at the moment, opening later this year, and it will, from the word go, be very curiosity approach.
So I'm going to share now, because it leads on beautifully. This is a video of little one with loose parts.
Big ball. Will that one do it? Ready? Yay! Little one, okay. Want me to help? Here we go. Ready? Which one would you be like? Both of them. Baby's got the little one. What about Becky? Becky got the little one? No. Baby. Okay. Becky, roll it back up. Ready? Oh! Baby's turn.
Beautiful video, that little one rolling the big silver ball and the little ball down that guttering drain pipe. Doesn't have to cost money, does it?
No, absolutely not. And actually, a lot of these resources, you know, we tap into our parents and families a lot. So, you know, we've got a dad that's a plumber and you know, throws a bit of drain pipe our way whenever. They've got to know our parents now. They sort of know that, you know, one man's trash is our treasure. So yeah, our parents provide an awful lot of these things, and look how engaged this little one is and the pleasure that she takes from rolling those balls down those drain pipes. And actually the early mathematical concepts that are going on there, you know, this little girl is about 21, 22 months, and she's using the language of size in context and accurately, and the member of staff, you know, is engaging, but that little one is leading that play, and Becky's just celebrating alongside her as she rolls the balls down. That sense of achievement is huge.
It's lovely video. That it's not about a look, is it? You know,
No,
making your setting look a certain way.
No, because the practice has to be there in the background, what your adults are doing and everything else, the ethos, the values, the curriculum, it all has to come together. You can have the most beautiful environment in the world, but if the other things don't all align, it's irrelevant. So although we have a really beautiful environment, and we do, and we put a huge amount of time and effort and investment into our environments, we equally invest in the adults, the high expectations, the interactions, and everything else that has to go with it.
Yeah, and it all mirrors and comes together.
When it comes together, it's really beautiful. Yeah.
And people just fall back in love with their role and being, I can't say it enough, being with the children.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And for our adults as well, you know, what a lovely place to come and call your place of work. You know, it feels like they're at home as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Absolutely amazing. How was that? Oh my goodness, what a setting, what inspiration. And this is what you can do at the Curiosity Approach. You can transform your settings from over-decorated, bright, you know, crazy coloured settings and create home-like spaces, warm, an extension of home instead of a watered-down version of a school. Our littlest babies need to be nurtured in calm, quiet, tranquil spaces where they can crawl, they can potter, they can tinker, and they can play. Now, if you want to hear more from us at the Curiosity Approach, click the subscribe button below. We'll be sharing videos every single week. And maybe you're one of those forward thinkers who would like to join our Curiosity Approach Academy, where your whole team comes on board and you move through and reflect upon 6 modules. You can do that by going to our website, www.thecuriosityapproach.com. But remember, click the subscribe button below, and I'll see you next week. Bye.